Well, Mohammed, we have a revolutionary game for you this year. Just looking at our gameplay and what we've already talked about, we have a trinity of real fundamental innovations in gameplay with our player impact engine, our precision dribbling and our tactical defending. All three of those together completely change the way that FIFA plays for the better, I'll add. We've also got Pro Player Intelligence this year, our next generation of CPU AI control. And today, at our press conference, we unveiled the EA Sports Football Club, a way for you to connect with your friends, compete on all levels whenever you play the game. It's like the heartbeat of FIFA 12. Okay, Samuel Aggrey asks, what do you think will be the biggest improvement in FIFA 12? Well, we've only really talked about a few things at the moment, and they're pretty critical already. For people who've played the game a lot, probably one of the biggest changes to the game will be tactical defending. You really have to think about what you're doing when you first pick up FIFA 12 this year. You actually have to engage your brain whilst defending, and it's very different to the old homing missile defenders, but significantly improves the balance of the game and also allows you to enjoy the fact enjoy play when you don't have the ball. The player impact engine is also very cool, adds this level of fluidity into the game. But probably the biggest deal at the moment is the EA Sports Football Club. We've just announced that today. It allows you to kind of have a heartbeat, constantly changing experience throughout the year. If you have a favourite club you support, you can sign up for Support Your Club. And then everything you do in FIFA not only contributes to your progress, your growth and your experience level within the game, but also you'll be contributing to the club that you support, hopefully pushing them to success in our Support Your Club league tables. David James Villetti, not sure how you pronounce that, sorry David. Are headed goals going to be as easy as in FIFA 11? No, we've done a lot of work in the goalkeeper and also in the kind of defending this year, in particular because you're not launching defenders from the back with the tactical defending system this year. The coverage within defence is much better. We also have player collisions in the air as well, so there's a great physical battle for headers. But obviously you can still score with headers, and indeed we've done a lot of work this year on urgency and predicting where the ball's going to be, so you'll see players both running into shots and also running into headers this year, which really do kind of give these explosive goal moments. Jay Lee or Jar Lee, will there be fast throw-ins this year? Yes, under certain circumstances, if the players are in the correct spot, we will blend straight into the throw-ins, which is really cool. Keeps you in the moment and really helps with the fluidity of the game. Another one that's down here somewhere, which was John Watkins. Is it true that there will be a drop ball feature this year? Yes. If a player is injured and has to go off and the ball goes out of play, what will happen is the ref will allow a drop ball to happen, and then the kind of opposing team will give the ball back to the team that lost possession. Anterno Philo, will the dribbling be improved? Absolutely. One of the major innovations this year that has revolutionised the gameplay in FIFA is precision dribbling. It's a high fidelity control system. At the moment, you kind of get close to other players, you'll drop down into this very close control mechanic. Players like Messi, as an example, become very responsive. It's very enjoyable. It allows you to kind of explore distance as well as angles. You can also shield with the ball as well. So it really does open up possibilities when dribbling this year. Obviously not overpowered. With the tactical defending now, the players are generally in a better defensive position. So it comes very much a cool kind of meta game. You on the ball, the defender with tactical defending, and then when the two come together, this really amazing player impact engine comes out as well. Okay, Anthony Snell, will you be able to shield the ball differently this year? Absolutely. Again, precision dribbling this year allows you to not just shield the ball static, but also dribble while shielding the ball. Very important to hold up play, relieve some pressure on your back if a defender's pushing into you, and kind of wait for some support play to get to you. So a really important part of the game this year. Matthew Miller, how has shooting been improved this year? We haven't changed shooting per se, so shooting's still kind of similar to previous years, but what we have introduced this year is the ability to volley properly. So as the ball's coming into you, we're now calculating how to get the player to the ball in movement. So rather than the player being static, receiving the ball and then shooting, some excellent volleys can be had. And we're working on a scheme at the moment on the left trigger that will allow for sort of flare moves, bicycle kicks, overhead kicks as well to be executed if you time them correctly. Ricard Stender, what have you done to improve the defensive AI? So the key change to defending this year was moving away from the old kind of abused press button, where players would be launched out of defence, and the AI actually used exactly the same scheme. This year with tactical defending, the defenders now are more about positioning and shepherding players into a disadvantageous position, and if the time is right and they've read the play well, then going for a kind of timed tackle. If they mistime the tackle, then obviously the AI and you as a player, if you do it, will be penalised slightly. There's a recovery time from that tackle. And the critical thing here, think about what you're doing, engage your brain, think about positioning and think about it more tactically rather than just rushing in and trying to bully people off the ball. Andy Kane asks, what do you mean by real injuries? Well, we call it true injuries. Due to the player impact engine, we can harvest information about the players on the pitch. If a collision happens, we know how hard, in what direction, and exactly where on the body that collision happened, and can determine if the player suffered an injury. So what we mean by that is if a player has his leg kicked out from underneath him and we determine he's hurt his ankle or say his knee, then we will know with pinpoint accuracy how bad the injury is and exactly where, and that can then be surfaced out to the game. So the commentary, presentation, and if it's happening in career mode will pick up on it, and that injury will become part of a storyline within the game. Brian Ty, is the player impact engine going to be too over the top? A good question, Brian, and I'm glad you asked. When we showcased the physics engine early in the year, when it first went in, it was somewhat over the top. I can assure you we're making sure that the physics is appropriate to the game of football. And the key thing to remember about the player impact engine is because we can determine the exact place and a kind of strength of the collision, we can not only mimic large collisions, but we can mimic very, very small ones. So if you imagine a player just gets hit and doesn't actually go down, we can now fluidly animate that so that the player can recover and continue running. So rather than you either always falling over or always not, we have every difference in between now. Josh Craig asks, with precision dribbling, will players be able to go more through the middle of the pitch rather than just always going down the wing? Good question. We found that towards the end of this kind of cycle with FIFA 11, a lot of players were playing the ball out to the wing and just running as fast as they can, crossing the ball in and hoping for a headed goal. With FIFA 12, with precision dribbling now, we've opened up all the possibilities of attacking play on the pitch. It's very satisfying to take a great dribbler and try and beat people, particularly with tactical defending. Those guys are going to stand off perhaps a bit more and not overcommit and rush in. You can do that still if you want by just pushing towards the player and not using the tactical defending button. You can still run at them, but obviously you stand a chance of overcommitting. So very enjoyable way of playing FIFA this year. Lots of dribbling, but not overpowered. We have done some work on the crowd. We've not introduced kind of 3D models or made it really super realistic, but we have done some work in particular in the dressing of the crowd. More details probably about that later this year. But overwhelmingly our emphasis has been on the look and the feel of the gameplay, the part that's happening on the pitch, and we've not really focused too heavily on the crowd this year. Sorry if that's a disappointment for you. It's definitely something we do think about, but doesn't really feature high in our priority list at the moment. At Mike Stuto, will there be any new celebrations? We're not talking about celebrations at the moment. We've put a couple in, but we're not really talking about them. Again, not a massive priority for us this year as far as that's concerned. Very much more focused on making sure that the physics in the game, the dribbling with precision dribbling and the defending's well balanced, as well as obviously the CPU AI and a whole load of other stuff coming later this year too. James Thomson, how are the menus better this year? We have focused very much on the look and the feel of the game right from the minute you put the disc in till the minute that your first game ends, to try and make it look fresh and new. feel exciting, feel reinvigorated, and we've done a lot of work in the menus to accomplish that. So we've gone from a vertical menu system to a horizontal one. It's a lot faster, a lot more dynamic, and I think it actually looks a lot nicer too. You'll see it straight away, and there's probably clips of it around now on the internet somewhere. We've also done a lot of work in the presentation of the game this year to kind of give a more broadcast feel, introduced elements that are more TV-ish, just to give you a sense of occasion as well. So lots of stuff like that going on in the game this year. At FJ Real Madrid CF, will you fix at Wayne Rooney's hair in FIFA 12 now that he's had a hair transplant? A good question. I learnt about it over the weekend. We haven't really had time to react so much to this, but we'll be watching the hair moment with a lot of interest. Unfortunately, we're not talking about that at this point in time. If we have exciting news, we'll be talking about it in the run-up either to Gamescom or at Gamescom. So sorry to be a bit boring there, Sounder74. Dean Richards, who I suspect is Dean Richards from work, who will be the English commentators? We're not confirming who the commentator team is in this year's game. As soon as I have any news, I will be sure to tell you all about it. Johannes Reiger, will the servers be more reliable? I hope so. We believe our servers are great. We've had something like 1.3 billion minutes of gameplay played of FIFA 12 head-to-head, etc. already. The head-to-head games are actually peer-to-peer. So once you've matchmaked and move off the server, that's a direct connection between you and the person you're playing at. If you have problems there, I would advise you to check your firewall and your router settings, or talk to the guy that you're playing against and make sure he has too. If you're talking about online team play, we've been doing lots of work to improve that and will continue to do so. Jez Sumner, could we have Be the Ref mode where you can referee random online club games? Not this year. It's something we've thought about a lot, something that we may well do in the future, but we're not committing to it at this time, and it won't be in FIFA 12, I'm afraid. Lee Harpuel, could matches between big rivals like Manchester United versus Chelsea have more tacklings, bookings and player confrontations like you had in the early FIFA games? We have worked on trying to build more atmosphere around it, and you will definitely feel that in the commentary this year within the game. We are still firm believers in FIFA fair play though, and don't really want to go to the point at which two teams are kind of at each other too physically. Although if you do not like a team in the game, feel free to behave however you like in your own game, but please don't ruin it for other people online. At Rob G. Tai, how many teams will get realistic faces this year? We're doing about the same amount of teams as last year. We understand that everyone wants their team to undergo the kind of head capturing treatment, and we're going as fast as we can. It is quite time consuming. We're trying to make sure the teams we pick are the big ones, and as soon as we have a list of teams, I'll be sure to release them via the website or whatever, so you can see who they are. Christopher Sawyer asks, will players be taken off on stretchers when they're injured? We're not doing that at the moment, just basically because, you know, when the injury happens, we kind of cut to the injury kind of substitution itself rather than showing that coming on and off. Great idea. Again, we've thought about it a few times, but ultimately our priorities lie in a slightly different place, but when we get around to it, we will. At Luke HTF Chindle, do you think you could ever have a feature called Fan Factor where the fan atmosphere could make a difference to player performance? It's a great idea. It's something we've toyed with, but I don't want the effect of something tenuous to control the way that the gameplay works. It would kind of be unfair on some people if the fans weren't getting behind a team and their team kind of got worse and worse based on that. So I want it to be about your ability at the game rather than something else going on, really. So it's in your hands. And Krista Legenden Steiner, are you going to add diving for FIFA 12? I get asked this a lot. I don't want people to be able to dive in the game at this point because whilst to a degree it's part of the professional game, I kind of still consider it cheating. And imagine how upset you would be if you lost a crucial game in the FIFA Interactive World Cup finals because someone fell over on purpose. People get angry enough, I think people call it rage quitting, where people quit online because they're losing. Imagine how bad it would be if there was diving too. But great idea and something we do think about a lot.